And we apparently are live.
Oh, there you are.
Do you concur?
Live in an Ellens now.
Ah, there he is. Well, I don't know what it's been like for you, John, but we've been having some quite nice weather here in the UK.
Oh yeah, it's been lovely over here as well. We finally got a little bit of rain last night, which was welcomed. Plants are living in a desert in the backyard, it seemed like. But yeah, it's been very nice. It's not too hot, which is great. Working on my tan already here. Starting to get my tan lines.
You're supposed to you get a tan, don't you, when you're sitting on the on that master seat on the aircraft there? That's where the tan comes in.
Well, I always have a tan line on my left arm. It's kind of funny. I can notice that. But even in the middle of winter, I can take my watch off, and it's just an extra shade of whiter than everything else, even in the middle of winter.
Right, that's that done. I can minimise that now. Excellent, and yeah, we're good to go. God, we're early. It's always good. I've got to
jinx it.
Just got to send the prize from last week off Nev to our winner. I've got it all packaged up, labelled up. I've just got to take it to the post office and send it on its merry way to New Zealand.
Yeah, just about the furthest place you could send it to.
I know. All the names to pick out of the hat, and you pick someone out in New Zealand. But yeah,
they all count.
They all count. Exactly.
So, yeah.
Honestly, I hope I'll email when I've sent it and that, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be nice. Interesting to see how long it takes to get from here to New Zealand. It will.
It'd be ironic if it was quicker than the normal postage where we are.
Yeah.
Yes. It'd probably be 10 days, 14 days maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
Something like that.
So who's going to do the sound check in the chat room for us this week then? So how are our audio levels? Me and the guest and Mr. Bones here this evening.
Well, hopefully it's reasonable. Because if it's not, then we've got some fiddling to do.
Oh, I'm a bit low.
I thought you were a little bit low too, but it's hard to tell.
Oh, hold on. Let me. Okay. See if that is that any better, or is that? Hopefully, John, if you could give us a level again, level check, John. How is that, John? Mr. Falk, he's our audio technician in the chat room this evening.
He says yes. And John is the John okay audio wise?
Thanks, Bill. My FM radio voice. No audio for me. Oh, no audio for you, John Falk. No.
We should all have to do our radio voice. Welcome. This is Park FM.
Park Radio.
Live.
I've got 3
Park
weeks
Radio.
off now. I'm off this Saturday, off air this Saturday, off air next Saturday because we fly back. And then the following Saturday, we're at the Duxford Summer Air Show on the 21st of June. So, yeah, no radio for me for 3 weeks. My God, it's the longest I've been off air. It is always a worry, though, when you have someone look after the show for you. But
when their audience figures are better than yours, you mean?
Oh no!
Oh,
Let me just get that knife out of my back here. Oh, dear.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Thanks for that. Appreciate the love.
Oh, dear.
Yes, suitcases getting ready to pack. Going to do that tomorrow. Get it all ready to go. Passports in the laying out ready. Everything's set to go. Good to go. Actually, I forgot to say, Nev, I reached out to Lufthansa Technik at Malta this week. I haven't heard anything back, but if I do, I am going to take my recording bits and pieces out with me, just in case I do get an invite to Lufthansa Technik.
Yeah.
It'd be good to see their engineering facility there at Malta.
I'm sure Gemma's really looking forward to that.
I haven't told her.
Oh. God.
I've done it once before, if you remember, many years ago when I went to Air Malta, didn't I? And done an afternoon interview there. I haven't said anything. I'm not going to say anything unless I get an email to say that I can go. I shan't say anything. So don't tell her the chat room. Don't tell my wife that potentially might have some PTUK work to do on holiday.
Oh dear!
It doesn't stop. This is the thing, you know. I can't switch off even when I'm on holiday.
When we went to Gibraltar on holiday, do you remember I used Mrs. Nev as my roadie to literally walk the gear across the airport, the runway at Gibraltar to go up to the tower, so we could interview Trevor and the team up there, and it chucked it down with rain. It was appalling, but anyway. So
I don't think I'd do. She wouldn't do that. My work, God blimey, not a chance.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's true, Darren. Yeah, that is very true. How are we doing on time, Mr. B?
20 seconds to go until the clock.
All right, okay.
According to my clock, anyway.
If you can count me in, I shall flick the switch.
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3.
There we go. It's exciting, isn't it? Right, here we go. Let's have a good show.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 554 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, the subject of Global Airlines is in the news again with the prospect of some possible investment into the company from Saudi Arabia. Quicker flights are promised in the biggest shake-up of UK airspace for decades, and a lorry driver could do with a driving lesson to refresh after it prangs a Saudia B787-9 on the apron at Heathrow. In the military this week, China adds aerial refuelling to pilot training and a move to boost combat readiness, and we look at the new TV and YouTube series from the Royal Air Force called Beyond the Blue. We also discuss the recent Ukraine drone attack on Russian fighter aircraft as well. So, joining me this week across the hills and dales of the UK, he's back again with us this week, and unfortunately, he's not been on a plane for ages. Is of course Neville Bounds. Hello, Nev.
on an aircraft again. But yeah, funnily enough, we should have been in Amsterdam this week. But due to some bathroom and ensuite aggravation at home, we decided to postpone it for another time. So we'll be back over there later on, hopefully. But so where's Matt tonight? Is he unavailable?
He's unavailable tonight. He's unfortunately had to disappear to go and have a treat at our health service here in the UK this evening, so he can't be with us, but hopefully be back next week. And Andy, I think, where's Andy this week, Nev?
He tells us that he's taking the CAA out for dinner tonight. Does that mean he's the subject of a AAIB investigation or something? I don't know. I wouldn't like to say. But,
did you say FAA, or are you sure it's not IPA?
Well, yeah, that's probably more like it, yes, knowing Andy. But he sent us some pictures of the pub, didn't he, and his refurbishment going on there. It looked very good.
Yes, it does.
But, yeah, there we go.
But we just talking off air before then, Nev. You're still ongoing with the ensuite woes.
Yes, I mean, I'm hoping in the next week we'll have it sorted out, but it's the last bit. It's the shower door that was ordered incorrectly, not by us, but by the supplier. So that's a bit of a nuisance. And these things are 2 meters tall and very thick plate glass as well. So manoeuvring them around the house, as you can imagine, is a bit tricky. But hopefully I'll get it sorted out in the next few days, and that'll be it complete then, which should be nice.
Well, it's good to have you back, as always, Mr. B.
Thank you.
In the team with us on a live show. And this week, just for a change, we've got him back again. We've managed to grab him literally this afternoon to join us on the show this evening. And it is our resident freighter pilot of the who flies, the greatest aircraft in the world, the Queen of the Skies. It is, of course, the awesome John Jester. Hello, John.
Goedenavond from Netherlands, where I'm actually at home. So it's a pleasure to be on a show with you all this evening here, and fine weather outside. I would have done this from outside, but it's actually a little bit breezy to do a live broadcast. But enjoying the evening here, and nice to join up with you all live and in person.
So how have things been with you then, John, since we last had you on the show? How are things on that glorious aircraft that you fly?
Oh, been a lot of China. A lot of China. I was on reserve for last month, and that was not a great treat. It was sort of like the trick or treat thing, and I got the trick. My schedule kept changing like every 6 hours. I get a new change of plans, which just made it just a long month of trying to figure out when to sleep and how to sleep and how long and where I was going to be next. And any kind of idea of a plan was just thrown out the window pretty much as soon as it was made. So it was lovely. But I did do around the world in 1 week, so that was kind of fun. Don't do that very often.
Any aircraft behaving itself?
Yeah. Oh wait, I did chuck a part of a spoiler off somewhere. That was an exciting bit coming into land, and I went to go use the speed brakes to help with the descent, and the entire airframe started shaking at a frequency I'd never felt before.
Wow!
And I was like, That's not good. Let me undo what I just did very quickly. And so that was an experience just to deal with. But I mean, it's like a 26, 27-year-old airframe, so I'm gonna guess it was just time for that part to pattern.
Well, I can confirm it's not here. I don't have it on the wall here in the studio, John.
No, I have
I would love
suspicions
it.
of where it is.
But
I have suspicions of where it is, but I don't want to mention. So,
mind you, there's so much redundancy on the 747, isn't there? You'd be surprised you could feel anything, but of course, a part like that, an aerodynamic part like that's quite important.
I think I felt it mostly because it was an inboard spoiler, so the airflow was being really disturbed going back across towards the tail, and I think that's probably why I felt it more. But it was Yeah, the airplane moved in a way I'd not felt before, and I was like, nope, not happy with that.
Let's not do that again.
that handle got slammed back into its home position very quickly, and then I used the alternate speed brakes, which I have 18 of those, and I threw those out and got down real quick with those. So that worked out really well. Landing gear, if you're not figuring that out. So
if any of our listeners have found that part at all, if you'd like to send it to me, that'd be fine. That'd be handy for the wall in the new studio. Or you can just give it back to John, whatever works best. Do you want the part back, John, or not?
No, it's a little big.
Get John to sign it, perhaps, with a Sharpie, and offer it as a prize, perhaps.
Oh, that would be an awesome prize. Can you imagine that? Giving that away on the show.
Here's the part I broke off a big airplane. Yeah, nice. That would be good. Let me explain that to some Civil Aviation Authority of note.
That's right, Nev. Moving on, we've got some good news for listeners who live in and around the Dublin area of Ireland and enjoy aviation viewing.
Yeah, I just thought we'd bring you a bit of feedback, actually, before we get into the rest of the show. Sent in by our chum, Alan White. Thanks very much indeed, Alan, for this. It's from flyinginireland.com. And do you remember a few weeks ago we were talking about planning permission and what they were going to do about the aircraft observation area at Dublin Airport? Well, the Dublin Airport Authority has granted planning permission for a new aircraft observation facility on Old Airport Road at the site of the existing informal airport viewing point, which you may have seen on various news wires previously. What's happened is that the planning approval includes an elevated viewing platform with sheltered viewing structure, seating and tables, and also improved parking facilities with 22 car parking spaces, of which 2 will be provided for persons with reduced mobility and 2 dedicated family parking spaces. It would be nice to have more than that, wouldn't it? But I can imagine they are very tight on space there. If you're going to cycle there's 5 bicycle stands, which is providing a total of 10 bike parking spaces. At the moment, there's been no indication as to when construction work is likely to start, but at least they're talking about it now and they have granted planning permission. So hopefully that will get underway during this year at some point, and Alan can give us a bit of an update when we see him next.
It's good news having that ability to go and to watch aircraft. Obviously, Manchester has got a really great place to go and watch aircraft. You can taxi right past you at Manchester, but obviously Ireland or Dublin is just as busy, probably if not more busier.
Extremely. Well, the thing is, even though they've got a new runway there, they've got restrictions on the number of passengers that they're allowed to handle within the airport, and that's not down to air traffic, that's down to parking and road infrastructure as well around the airport. Having said all that, if you want to go plane spotting, Dublin is a very good place to go because it can be extremely windy and blustery there, so there's some spectacular landings and go-arounds if you want to sit on the threshold of one of the runways there when they're landing. So, but no, great news. Pleased to hear that.
Yeah, thanks for Alan for sending that in. Now, Nev, top of the month or beginning of the month, it's important time for us, and obviously to say a big thanks to some very special people.
Yeah, as you know, this doing this show isn't free for us. It costs us some money to do it, and we're really grateful to people that contribute via Patreon or PayPal to help us keep the show on air. So this month, the Patreon donators are Richard Adams, Derek Smith, Bill Aronek, Sam Dawson, Alex Robinson, Dirk S, Sasha Beer, Stephen Ivey, Nick Codling, Lewis Cashares, Alan White, Stephen Howland, Tanya Wyman, Nicholas Hewitt, Masha Hirtz, Ruben Wells, Neil Lanwarn, Graham Haley, Jonathan Warner, Jordan Rose, Andrew Wilson, Captain Jeff, Adam Spink, Liz Piper, Jeff Ward, Stuart Backer, Stephanie Plummer and Carl S. in New Jersey in the US. A couple of people pay us by PayPal. That's Jenny Parkinson and Mazuz Kareem. Thanks to all of you for your fantastic contributions. They really do make a difference to how we can keep the show on the air and also go and do air shows and what have you. And we'll talk a bit about that a bit later on in the show.
Yes, thanks to everyone, as Nev said, for your support. It really does help us to bring the show to you each week, as we like to, hopefully with no tech glitches, hey, because I'm in charge this week, you might have noticed. Right, let's say a big hello to everyone who's joined us in the live YouTube chat room this evening. We'll start at the top of the list. It's Richard Adams. Hello to you, Richard. Good to see you in there. And also hello to Mazuz. Good to see you in there, Mazuz. We've got Hobby Time. Hello to you. Captain Cruz says, good evening. Looking forward to a good show. John Falk, hello to you as well. Says, good evening, everyone. Dirk S, hello to you. Says, good evening, folks. Kevin Wallander, hello to you. Good to see you in there. Grinner, and he says, good evening, everyone. Have actually made it for a change. Thank you, Grinner. Good to see you in there. We've got Bill, lovely Bill. He's in the chat room. Darren Smith, hello to you. Evening, all sky gaze, as he says. We've got, I don't want to miss you on Masha. Hello to you. Great to see you in the chat room. Tanya, hello to Tanya. Says, hi, everyone. Jason Trussell, hello to you as well. Good to see you in the chat room. Ant Flynn, hello to you. Very nice to see you in the chat room as well. What is the name on Patreon? What is our name on Patreon, Nev? Or the links are on our website, aren't they?
Yeah, best thing to do there is to go to planetalkinguk.com and you'll see the links to Patreon at the top of the website there.
Yeah, very, very true. So a big hello to everyone who's joined us tonight in the YouTube chat room. And don't forget, if you're listening to us as an audio podcast, which I know a lot of you do, we are live on YouTube on a Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, where we are obviously bringing you this live feed. And don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell icon to be notified when either me or Matt has pressed the go live button on this glorious studio. So yeah, lovely to have you all with us this evening. Right, so we've got lots of entertainment news, lots of entertaining news stories this week from across the globe. And if all the team are ready, shall we do some commercial news?
We are, yes.
Right, here we go. And this week's first news story comes from onemileatatime.com. And, well, it's that news story that we've been talking about for a little while now, haven't we, Nev? For a few months.
It seems for months and months, isn't it? Yes.
I'll be surprised, actually, if John hasn't heard about this particular outfit. But, you know, Global Airlines apparently pivots business model and expects Saudi investment. So the A380 startup Global Airlines recently operated its first flights, as we all know. We covered those on the previous show, which were two one-off round-trip transatlantic journeys. These were proving flights, though the reviews weren't great. As we know, the flights reportedly had fewer than 100 people on board. So we don't exactly know what was being proven on these flights. Understandably, the big question was, what is next for the airline? So after all, the company has been promising it would operate regular scheduled flights across the Atlantic, taking on established players like BA and Virgin. So there's an interesting update along those lines. First of all, Kingdom Holding Company, a major Saudi Arabian investment group, is reportedly in negotiations to take substantial equity stakes in Global Airlines. As it's described, this would enable the airline to fund and accelerate plans to acquire 4 A380s. Currently, the airline has a single A380, as we know, which is a former China Southern jet. Second of all, the airline reportedly plans to modify its business model. The airline no longer plans to concentrate on scheduled operations using its own brand. Instead, plans to switch to an aircraft crew maintenance and insurance, or ACMI model. In other words, the airline wants to become a wet lease operator and lease planes to other airlines to fill in gaps in demand. Keep in mind that the airline doesn't actually have its own air operator certificate, so things are currently stand. It can't actually do that directly. The claim is that this strategy is being changed due to the demand for wide-body aircraft on short and medium-haul routes, due to delivery delays of new aircraft from Airbus and Boeing. Global Airlines is looking for investors so that the airline can buy A380s so that it can then pay a third-party, Hi-Fly, to operate wet lease flights on behalf of other airlines. And that doesn't strike me as particularly efficient, but a recipe for profitability. Keep in mind that Hi-Fly, one of the world's most reputable wet lease operators, actually tried exactly this not too long ago, actually. The airline itself operated or acquired an A380 with a global goal of leasing it out, exactly as Global Airlines is proposing, but that failed pretty quickly, and the plane ended up being parted out. So what's the bottom line then? Many of us wondered what Global Airlines would do after its proving flights. Now we know the airline reportedly wants to become a wet lease operator and acquire a fleet of A380s. Very few airlines want A380s in the first place, and even fewer airlines want to lease them. We know this, as we said earlier, because Hi-Fly have already tried this. Now, Nev, there's been about 1,000 different stories online about what's going on here. And obviously there was that big release that they made on social media about what was said and what had been said about them, and they were going to do this and that and et cetera, et cetera. But I think at the end of the day, Nev, Andy is not going to be eating a hat.
No, he's not. I mean, social media's just been full of this, hasn't it, for the last few weeks? And it's so difficult to know what to say, because the press release Global put out yesterday was my summary of it. Stop being so negative, everybody, is what it really says. Now, if they're going to try and turn the operation into a wet leasing operation, that is a whole new area of expense and, crew and accreditation, certification. I mean, it's just endless. So that will need money to do that. And if they're going to get some investment from the Saudi Arabian company they're talking about, then that's a possibility, I suppose. But as the boss of Emirates said a while ago, if you're going to operate the A380 successfully, you've got to operate a lot of them. And that's what Emirates do very successfully, isn't it? They've got over 100 of them. And I think the problem is that when you're starting from scratch like this, it's very difficult to know. Well, you've got to be sure about what your business model is. And it seems even in the first couple of weeks of operation, they're kind of changing it. Now, maybe they were going to do this all along, but I don't know. I'm trying not to say anything negative about it, but it's I do hope they're successful in many respects. But honestly, I think it's a big challenge for them, definitely.
What's your take on this, John?
I think we should start a raffle on pick on how many weeks before it shuts down. Personally, but I don't get it. I just don't get it. I saw the plane in New York when I was there.
Oh, you sold the plane? Oh, cool.
Yep, looks just as ugly as I thought it would. And I just the whole system I don't get. I didn't get the route. I didn't get the idea. Yeah, it just makes no sense to me at all in the airline business. I mean, it's an expensive business. I'm thin margins, and then you're going to put one of the most expensive planes in the world to ever operate between A and B locations. I mean, it'd be cheaper probably to fly the Concorde between those two places. So at least then you'd have some attraction.
Bill says in the chat room, actually makes a good point. Don't you think that Emirates would be in a much better position to wet lease A380s if there was money to be made? Good point.
Well,
absolutely.
Yeah, and of course they've got the numbers of aircraft to to do that with, and that's the thing. If you're going to operate that kind of aircraft, you have to have contingency for when the thing goes tech or there's other issues. I would have thought so. Yeah. Now you could also say that Laker started with a single aircraft, and Virgin started with a single 747-200. I think I'm right in saying. from Gatwick to Newark. So, it's never say never, but this is extremely ambitious in the world of, with the greatest respect to our guest, in the world of two-engine aircraft to operate, this kind of aircraft. But the load factor, you've got to have a big number in there, haven't you? You really have. And with premium passengers as well. They can't all be in economy. That's for sure.
Darren in the chat room says it was Golf Victor India Romeo Golf, the Dash 100 series, apparently Virgin.
100, yeah. I beg his pardon. Yes.
Yeah. Are you saying, John?
Oh, I said the only way I could see this thing surviving is if they put it on the Hajj. The Hajj routes, because those are always packed.
Yeah,
they were running as a charter flight for that. Just max it out as much as they could get certified, and then start flying it for the Hajj. Then maybe they'll make it, because they just cram that plane full. Nobody cares. They're just going to get there, get some power washers at the end, and clean it out, and move on. So.
I definitely don't think we'll see this flying to Benidorm anytime soon, Nev.
Well, no. Also, because the runway length there probably as well. So it might get in, but it wouldn't get back out again, I don't think.
Oh, dear. Anyway, well, Andy's safe. He's not going to be out, or not going to have to eat a hat. So we're good on that, aren't we? I think he's quite happy about that.
Yeah.
Well, he knew he'd never have to eat his hat. So, yeah. Right, Mr. Bounds. Next up for you, BA. Well, not BA. It's BA. Well, it involves BA, but also be interesting to hear John's take on this.
Yeah, the UK has suffered a lot in recent years. In fact, probably the last 20 or 30 years, really, with lots of delays. On the BBC website, it says that quicker flights are promised in flight path shake-up. Plans to fast-track the remodelling of the UK's flight paths could lead to quicker flights and fewer delays for passengers, the government said. Ministers are set to announce the creation of UK Airspace Design Service later, which will redesign the routes planes must fly over UK airspace, many of which were decided around 70 years ago. The initial shake-up will focus on modernising the complex airspace in and around London. Kane, which was a community aviation and environmental group for Kent, Sussex and Surrey, has warned the plans could mean that there will be new flight paths over houses that are not currently affected. Ministers say the plans could allow planes to climb quicker during takeoff and descend more smoothly. The plans are also aimed at helping reduce aviation's climate change impacts and pave the way for new technologies like flying taxis. Yes, you did hear that correctly. Modernising our airspace is also one of the simplest ways to help reduce pollution from flying and will set the industry up for a long-term sustainable future, says the Aviation Minister Mike Kane. The changes would allow the largest redesign of UK airspace since it was formed in the 1950s, at which time there were only about 200,000 flights per year. Last year, there were around 2.7 million flights in UK airspace. The government says that UK ads will be fully operational by the end of this year. And Tim Alderslade, the head of the trade body, Airlines UK, said that changes to UK airspace were long overdue. We look forward to working with ministers and all parts of UK aviation to complete a once-in-a-generation infrastructure programme as quickly as possible, and ideally by the end of the decade, he said. So that's a big piece of work, to say the least, but it was long overdue. We've had a lot of congestion. Having said all of that, a lot of the delays that were around the London airports, around the four holds that are around London, they have managed to mitigate some of those with some very clever mathematics in terms of timing and what the wind speed and wind directions are and that kind of thing. So it's not been as bad as previously. But actually, if you look at how aircraft get in and out of those stacks, it's quite a convoluted route very often as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out.
What is your thoughts on this, John? Do you get a chance much to fly in and around? I suppose you do, in and around UK airspace.
Yeah, generally, yeah. It's flying through the airspace, but I have flown in and out of a couple of the airports there. It was quite a convoluted, especially Stansted. The routing and the amount of vectoring that was going on was really, quite a lot to deal with, and puts a lot of workload on the crew and to the controllers. I think if they can modernize things, start applying these more 3D routes going in that allow the aircraft to climb efficiently on straight, uninterrupted climbs, and especially the constant descents where we can stay in a clean, idle configuration as long as possible. You can see some definite benefits in terms of the fuel economy, saving some time. It's definitely possible. Most of the aircraft out here now on the line can operate in that environment, and they can actually operate in a 4D trajectory where they give time assignments over a fix in space, and then they can manage the merge of all the traffic down at the airport pretty efficiently now, because there's a lot of data out there. Almost every aircraft now is pumping out wind information as it flies along, so that can constantly be updated. The system can take that into effect so that at the bottom end of the arrival, starting the approach, everybody's spaced appropriately so that they could just seamlessly keep on moving. I think you're also seeing the NIMBYs are in there, the not my backyard or not over my backyard in this case. Crowds are going to complain about this all the time, but they're always missing the fact that these new aircraft are so much quieter, like the new E190 version 2s. When they fly across my house, they're, some wind noise, and that's about it for maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds. And I'm very close to the airport, so they're still, definitely on full power climb. So, and even the bigger, heavier planes, same thing. It's all getting much quieter, much more efficient. I think as they study things, that maybe they can do it. Now, by the end of the decade, I doubt it. The Netherlands has been trying to do a redesign of their airspace now for going on 5 years, and they confine themselves with, we need this, we need that, we need this, we need that. They don't take a big clean sheet picture. They're just trying to, I need these little carve outs. So it puts them right back in the same position they were before, and they get the same airspace design. So unless somebody can really get in there and really do a clean sheet design to try and make the flows in and out as efficient as possible, give the military their airspace they need, give general aviation the airspace that they need, that would be, that you're just going to repeat the same process. You'll just waste a bunch of time and money.
So it saves sitting in the hold at Lambourne, hey, Nev?
Well, yeah, I think the thing is with UK airspace is that it sort of feels that it was designed with the military in mind, and commercial airspace is, a bit of a nuisance and has to sort of go around the military zones quite a lot. And that's obviously, the space needs to be shared clearly. But as John said, when you've got, if you can't get a continuous descent, for example, and you're having to level off at various altitudes, that burns a heck of a lot of fuel, doesn't it? Especially at the lower levels. Anything to reduce the fuel cost to the airlines and therefore the environmental part of it's got to be a good thing, isn't it?
So, John, you've got the next story, and we're in the UK for this one.
Oh, lovely story you chose for me. First A350 wings complete at the Broughton facility. The first wings of the new A350 have been completed at the wing manufacturing facility in Broughton, North Wales. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, yay. Although different to the passenger variant, the wings have been designed to sufficiently similar so that they can be produced on the same production line as all other A350 wings. The first set of wings will be used on the first two A350 test aircraft, which are due to start testing in 2026 and 2027, respectively. Head of wide-body wings at Airbus Broughton, Paul Kilmister, said, "This is a proud moment for everyone at Broughton, completing the first ever A350 wing set. with almost 1,400 orders for the A350, including 63 A350F. Broughton will continue to play a critical role in the future of the program, supporting Airbus growth in the passenger and freight markets. The A350 is poised to shape the future of air freight, offering operators a more efficient and versatile solution for decades to come. The Airbus facility in Broughton produces the wing sets for the Airbus A3XX airliners, and they are then shipped by Airbus Beluga and Beluga XL aircraft to the final assembly lines. New wings for the A350 are designed to improve efficiency and help the aircraft produce a 20% lower fuel burn compared to the current freighter aircraft in the same class. The A350F will also have the largest cargo door in its class, with its loading opening measuring 4.3 meters wide. Yeah, it's nice. That probably beefed up wing because generally freighters will land with a lot more weight than a passenger aircraft will. It's probably one of the few changes. They probably beefed up the structures there. Also probably for the landing gear and stuff, just to take heavier weights. But the aircraft has pretty impressive numbers. I know my company's been looking at it quite a bit. Not that I want them to purchase it, but I know they've been looking at it. I just still can't get past that airplane. Like they did design this really beautiful airplane, and they got to the tail, and they went, let's just grab that one off the 330 and throw it on there. What? Just like dropped the ball on that one, the end of that thing. So,
look, nothing will ever compete to the aircraft that you fly, John.
No, they're not going to be able to replace it for a long time, because the one thing we can do is we can go through the nose. I can carry stuff that no other airplane can carry, simply because of that. Put a drill pipe on an A350. Never happened.
Yeah, I would imagine with freighter aircraft, it's not just a question of operating costs and that kind of thing. It's the logistics and the ground handling as well, how you get this stuff on and off the aircraft.
Oh, that's a huge aspect of it. How much space do you have between the loader and the wings? I mean, we have this red tips on a lot of our wings, tip the sponsons off the flaps, because of the military cargo loaders have this great tendency to attack them. They lift up and they get too close and they hang these things off. But it's a logistics challenge you always have with the big cargo loaders, big cargo loads. What can you put on the aircraft? What kind of vehicles? What kind of long outsized cargo can you put on there? I've seen some challenges where they're trying to put long pipes onto 777s, and they're struggling to do it. Whereas 747, open the nose up, throw it into the nose, problem solved.
That must be the weirdest sensation, John, seeing that happen.
Oh yeah, it's weird. I'm sitting up in their cockpit and the nose goes in front of you. It's like, well, that's different. That's but it's one of those things. I mean, I've seen a probably 100-foot long or 100-foot wide IMAX screen go on one of my planes, and it took two cargo loaders backed up next to one another to lift it up.
Wow.
And then they had to roll it on, back the cargo loader up, roll it on, back the cargo loader up, until they got it in place, and then they had to strap it with ungodly number of straps down to the floor, because it's such a big load and long load, just to get it, make sure it was secure, wasn't going to move anywhere.
Jeez, imagine playing Microsoft Flight Sim on that.
But it's a trip what you can do with the planes. These cargo planes, what we put on them is just insane. Anything from helicopters, other aircraft, to armored vehicles are going on these commercial planes. You never would know it.
Honestly, the life he leads, hey Nev?
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah,
brilliant stuff.
So Nev, you have got, this is awesome. You've got the next story, Nev, and it's a BA story.
Yeah, I mean, normally you'd expect this to be at the end, the and finally part of the show, but we've put it in the middle of the show because we've got another one to put in the and finally. This is on the standard.co.uk. It tells us that a British Airways steward is arrested after dancing naked in business class toilet following suspected drugs binge.
Oh dear.
Now, can I just point out that doing anything in a business class toilet, let alone dancing, would be quite difficult to achieve, I would imagine, because they're not very big on the A380. But nonetheless, it said the shocking incident occurred as the steward was supposed to be serving meals on a packed flight from San Francisco to London Heathrow. And colleagues became concerned after the steward disappeared during service, prompting a search of the double-decker A380. The in-flight crew manager was stunned to discover him naked and dancing in the Club World cabin bathroom. He was swiftly dressed in spare first-class pyjamas and escorted to a first-class seat, where he remained for the rest of the 10.5-hour journey. Upon landing at Heathrow around 11 a.m. last Sunday, the steward was met by police, arrested and provided medical attention. He was subsequently taken from the plane in a wheelchair. The incident reportedly left the remaining crew members working the entire flight without any break. The steward has since been suspended whilst investigations continue. A source told The Sun that we think the guy popped pills when he was meant to be working. It's an extraordinary thing to do. The plane was cruising at 37,000 feet over the Atlantic, but this bloke seemed to be higher than anyone else, they said. Rather than asking passengers whether they wanted chicken or beef, he was stripping off and dancing in the toilet. It was a long time before he was located, and he was completely out of it. Not only is it really dangerous, it's a crazy way to end your BA career. This job can do ridiculous things to people, but staging a one-man disco in a Club World toilet is a new one on me. So they said. British Airways has been contacted for comment. We've not heard from them thus far. Yeah, that's...
Well, we've had a comment from Dirk now. Do you want to take that one?
Yes, I've just got a few problems refreshing my... Yes. Dirk says, well, why not dance? It's called Club World after all. Good point. And he also says someone has definitely bought his meds in a back street. So, yeah, there's... oh dear. Well, you're going to get this in any walk of life, aren't you, probably? But that was particularly unfortunate. But at least they found him. So they spent quite a long time trying to find him, I would imagine. So, yeah. So I can't add anything more to that without lowering the whole tone of the podcast.
Oh, dear. The comments in the chat room are just lovely.
Yeah, just Matt's not on tonight. Otherwise, we'd be putting these up on the screen as well, wouldn't we? So, yeah.
Tanya does say, though, she feels bad for the rest of the cabin crew.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like working, I mean, on a serious note, you're working as a team. Yeah. And, it's a safety critical thing that all the crew are not incapacitated, or if they are, that they can be dealt with. But when you've got stuff going like this, it's a whole different thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silly, honestly. Right, moving on. Next story from gbnews.com. And this is quite a good one. Lorries, we haven't had one of these for a few weeks. Lorry smashes into aircraft at UK airport after laughable mistake by driver that triggers long delays. So a lorry smashed into a grounded aircraft at Heathrow Airport on Monday last week after the driver confused the accelerator for the brake pedal in what witnesses describe as a laughable mistake, probably not for the airline. The collision occurred at approximately 2:54 p.m. when the vehicle crashed into a Saudi Boeing 787-9 at Terminal 4, piercing the aircraft's body just minutes after the passengers had disembarked from the flight SVA105 from Jeddah. The incident near stand 414 caused significant disruption when the damaged aircraft grounded for an extended period of time, and all subsequent flights were cancelled, leading to lengthy delays for passengers. Baggage handlers at the scene explained that the driver was attempting to perform a standard safety protocol manoeuvre when approaching the aircraft. Now, for those of you watching in the world of YouTube, I'm going to pop some pictures on the screen there for you so you can see what this looked like. So, the one handler said the driver must have probably been trying to perform a safety protocol manoeuvre where, approaching the aircraft, they hit the brakes on multiple occasions. They have a protocol where they have to fully stop several times when moving towards an aircraft. The handler continued, I think he confused the accelerator for the brakes, smashing into the plane near stand 414. They did say the damage doesn't look that big, but it pierced right through the body of the aircraft, which makes it a serious incident. Oh dear. Emergency services, including firefighters and police, responded to the scene following the standard procedure for all technical incidents at an airport. One baggage handler noted firefighters and police came because even for a small technical error, everyone has to attend the site, so it becomes a major incident. The investigation progress required after over an hour to remove the lorry from the airport, with the authorities taking photographs and witnesses' statements from all involved parties, including the pilot, driver and airport staff. The following flight from Heathrow to Jeddah was cancelled due to the aircraft damage, and whilst passengers on the original flight experienced delays also collecting their baggage. Baggage handlers described the incident as unprecedented in their experience, one saying that everyone was shocked because the work had to be stopped. It was just so stupid and ridiculous and almost laughable. Another handler said it's been very rare that this has happened. Some of us have had more than 15 years' experience of baggage handling, and between us, never seen anything like it. The aircraft is expected to remain out of service for an extended period of time, as the damaged section must be replaced and made airtight before it can return to flight operations. One handler suggested ABM would likely be liable for the damage caused by the collision. Yeah, I suppose in this situation, obviously investigating who's at fault. Who's at fault, Nev?
I don't know. I'm not going to preempt the outcome of what's happened here, but let's be honest, ground handling is a massive part of the operation, whether it's freight or regular passenger traffic. And, there are very high risks to ground operations. And although everyone, I hope, is trained to a very high standard, things can go wrong. And if you just look at the number of vehicles around an aircraft just on a regular turnaround, catering, fuel, jet bridge, or whatever it is, there's a lot going on. And if people aren't concentrating or something goes wrong, then, it can be absolutely catastrophic. And in this case, obviously, the aircraft's out of service. Nobody was injured by the looks of things, which is something. But ground handling is a massive subject, I would imagine. John, you'd probably agree with that, wouldn't you?
Oh, ground handling is a major issue. It's definitely a weak point when it comes to airport operations and dealing with the safety side of things. But I mean, to me, I'm going to put 50% of the blame on safety departments and their reliance on safety procedures and like this, and 50% of the blame on bean counters that have driven down the quality of the people that are being hired because they just don't pay for good people to come in and take jobs like this. I did catering. I drove trucks like that for a long period of time. And yeah, making one stop makes sense, but these multiple stop things I see them doing now just adds to the chance that they're going to do what they did, which is hit the wrong pedal and drive up and hit the plane. And it should just be nice slow approaches. Everybody should be taking their time. Problem is nowadays everybody's rushed. They get their maximum throughput on every single person they have working there. And I think what you're seeing is the result of that they're pushing them to be there and get it done as fast as possible, and they make a mistake just like this, and then very expensive damaging incident occurs. Luckily for them, I think, in terms of the aircraft, 787 is designed with a carbon fiber, was specifically designed to make it relatively quickly repairable for ground damage such as this. The hard part's probably going to be getting access to both sides of that. It's down by the lav tank, it looks like to me. And I mean, he's lucky he didn't rupture the lav tank. Otherwise, that would have been a whole different experience for him there. But
yeah, I'll just pop the picture on there again, John. There we go. So on the YouTube feed.
Yeah, if you look just sort of in front of the on the picture on the left, the front part of the platform, you can see a little panel there, just sort of peeking out. And I think that is usually the lav or the water tank. One or the other is back there. And if you puncture that, then you're going to have a huge mess. You're a bunch of water on you, and that would have to get replaced. Or the lav tank. Well, just leave that there. And yeah, like
it would have been a show, wouldn't it?
World of mess. Either which way, that's just going to be a pain to get back in there because they're going to have to pull floor up and get down into that area. Because that's make sure they didn't hit any stringers, any structural pieces. Make all the repairs. That plane's probably down for a week or two to get everything done, and Boeing engineers are going to be busy with designing a repair for that. So it'll actually be interesting to see what the results are, though, in terms of repair. Good test of it.
Good insurance claim as well. Imagine ringing up the insurance company, explain that.
Yeah, I find it kind of funny, though. They're saying, "Oh, I haven't seen something like this before." I mean, I worked the ramp 8 years on the ramp, another 3 years of being a manager or supervisor on the ramp, and I was seeing this kind of stuff all the time. It happens. You get small dings, big dings, usually not so bad. Usually something like a belt loader gets the aircraft. Not usually a truck like that, but it happens. So I think they're just seeing the results of just not having good people with good training and very professional attitudes. What they're doing, it's just a job to them. That's all they care about. And we'll move on to the next one if they don't, they get problems. So,
ouch. There you go. Nev, you up with the next one. And good news for Manchester Airport. We were talking about it just a minute ago, weren't we?
Yeah, it's about time, actually. It's on the sun.co.uk, and Manchester Airport has revealed computer-generated images showing the new design plans for the multi-million-pound redevelopment of Terminal 3. The huge revamp comes after the £1.3 billion project to spruce up Terminal 2 reached a key milestone. There are plans in place to build a new road, which will be used to trial taxiways on the airfield. Manchester Evening News revealed that the old entrance to Terminal 1 will become Terminal 3's new entrance. There are no details yet on the shops and bar area that will call Terminal 3 their home, but more seats and space are being promised. Once the renovation work on Terminal 2 is complete, which will be likely to be later this year, Terminal 1 will close completely. T3 first opened in 1989 and is largely used for domestic flights. The T1 and T3 buildings will be joined together as part of the new plans, and the vast project is also set to remodel the entrance to the terminal, the security hall and the departure lounge. And in a subtle nod to the Manchester worker bee, T3 will have honeycomb lights. Extraordinary. So the main thing that's happening at T3 then is going to be a brand new entrance to the terminal with more space, easier access and better facilities, brand new security equipment, 40% more seating capacity in the departure lounge, new shops and food and drink outlets, and a new 500-seat bar area with airfield views. What could go wrong with that? An expanded dining area with 200 extra seats also, and more shops and facilities landside in the arrivals area of the terminal. There's no mention about improved attitude with the security staff in there, but I'll just leave that there. I think everybody would probably say the same thing about T3. It's a bit aggressive, to say the least. But, airport infrastructure and improvement, that's what's needed. And looks like they've got quite a lot of work to do on this. But good news, though, definitely.
Do you know, all the years I've been flying there, I've never flown from Manchester. Been up to Manchester Airport, but never flown from there before.
Oh, if you want some abuse, go to T3 at Manchester. Do a quick hop up there from Heathrow or something like that, and see how you get on.
Oh, but I'll bear that in mind. You ever flown into Manchester, John? Or
No, I've never been to Manchester. Just watched the videos of the crazy landings.
Ah, yes, the guys at Airliners Live, doing their live feeds from there every week. It's very good, very entertaining.
It seemed like they designed the airport to maximize crosswinds.
Yeah.
Right, next story. Going back to Boeing for this one. Good news for you, John. This is from AmericanMachinist.com. And also good news for jobs as well. Boeing plans a new assembly line for the 737 MAX. They definitely need it with their backlog. Boeing Corporation reportedly will install a new production line in Everett, Washington for the 737 MAX 10, the largest of the 4 variants of the Boeing's top-selling aircraft. The 737 MAX program has 3 assembly lines now at Boeing's Renton, Washington plant, while the Everett complex has the site of the wide-body jet assembly. The timing and cost of the Everett plant update are not known. The plant currently assembles the 767 Boeing 767, mainly a cargo, but also adapted as the KC-46 tanker aircraft for the US Air Force and some foreign defense forces. The 777 passenger and cargo jet, and the forthcoming 777X, which is expected to begin deliveries in 2026. In recent years, Boeing relocated the wide-body 787 Dreamliner program to North Charleston, South Carolina, and the 747 program has ended. And at Everett, the new 737 MAX 10 assembly line will occupy the space formerly assigned to the 747. So speaking as an investor conference on the 29th of May, Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg explained the new production line at Everett makes sense because the 737 MAX 10 has the most complexity and it's to move through assembly line more slowly than the other MAX models. With the total backlog for all 737 MAX models at more than 4,700 jets, increasing the production rate for the 737 MAX 8 and MAX 9 is an urgent priority for Boeing. While the Renton complex has been operating under Federal Aviation Administration restrictions, Ortberg also told his audience that the output there will rise towards 42 jets per month soon, and then to 47 jets a month with FAA approval. Clearing the 737 MAX 10 to separate line in Everett will allow them to keep the other 3 MAX production lines in Renton moving smoothly and expeditiously, Ortberg said. And this will be best opposition to product system for future rate increases and for when the MAX 10 is certified. It was at the same time at the conference that the CEO announced the upcoming production rate increase for the MAX 8 and MAX 9 and predicted the MAX 10 and MAX 7 variants would finally gain Federal Aviation Administration certification this year. The MAX 10 will be the largest Boeing narrow-body, the 737 MAX, narrow-body that is, carrying a maximum of 230 passengers and having a maximum range of 3,300 nautical miles. The aircraft itself being 143 feet 8 inches long and has a wingspan of 117 feet 10 inches, which is 35.9 meters. Boeing has logged so far more than 1,200 orders for the 737 MAX 10, including 167 for United Airlines and 150 for Ryanair and 115 for American Airlines and 100 for Delta Airlines. So there we go, MAX 10. I'm actually looking forward to the MAX 10 because this is close to a 7.5 as I think we're going to get for a narrow-body aircraft like that size. What do you think?
Well, the limiting factor isn't the order book; it's the production side of things, isn't it? As always. So,
yeah.
And there's a lot of aircraft to be manufactured there, and the airlines are trying to schedule this into their timetable, which will be years ahead in many cases here, and the prospect of delays and all the rest of it is always a problem. But if they're putting in a new production line, that's got to be a good thing, isn't it? So I think that's a positive thing, definitely. But when you look at the total backlog, is more than 4,700 aircraft for all the 737 MAX models. That's a huge backlog, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, Airbus aren't much better, I have to say, from what I've heard. But Boeing has certainly got a mountain to climb with this, but they've got to do something, haven't they? That's for sure.
What do you think, John, with this huge backlog, 4,700 jets?
I mean, they survive on that backlog. I think that's a big thing that both the Airbus and Boeing are always touting as their backlogs, and it keeps them in business, but it's also stifling innovation, I think, because they get so tied into these aircraft that they don't want to change. Creating a production line is quite complicated. You have to get all the tooling, the equipment, the jigs, the supplies, the training for those people to get the job done the right way. 737s, they had that logistics where Spirit Air Systems, that's now been bought by Boeing, was making fuselages down in Wichita, and then they were coming up on trains. And you have to process that whole thing there and put it together. It's going to be quite the thing to see. So it's good to see that facility is going to get reused and not just sit idle for a long time. I don't think there's enough use for it through the 7.6 operations they're doing for the military. But hopefully they're going to get their act together. I mean, Boeing as a whole just needs to really focus on their job of building airplanes, doing it the right way, and getting their T's crossed and I's dotted and all the proper stuff done. And they really have got to focus on that, because they've really tarnished themselves with this whole 737 thing.
Yes, they'll be all right. Well, Boeing will be around for many years to come, I'm sure.
Definitely.
We're going to stick with you, John, for the next story. Be good to hear your feedback on this, about this 777.
Yeah. Okay. This comes from flightglobal.com. Air New Zealand 777 struck edge lights after pilot did not compensate for disengaged autopilot. New Zealand investigators believe the pilot of a Boeing 777-300ER, which experienced a runway excursion during touchdown at Auckland, did not compensate for the aircraft's response after belatedly disengaging the autopilot. The Air New Zealand twinjet, arriving from Melbourne on 27 January 2023, have been conducting the ILS-DME approach to runway 5 right and heavy ring with changes in crosswind direction and strength. Although the approach was stable, the autopilot was operating in the runway alignment mode and started applying left aileron and right rudder at 500 feet to counter the left crosswind and keep the 777 on track. The autopilot continued to keep the aircraft on centerline and maintain its target speed as the wind conditions varied. While the operator's procedure recommended disengaging the autopilot around 300 to 600 feet to give the pilot sufficient time to establish manual control before commencing to flare, the captain who was flying did not engage until the jet was 67 feet above ground. By this point, the aircraft was crossing the threshold of the runway. Just 1 second after the autopilot was deactivated, the crew started retarding thrust levers to idle, and the flare began 3 seconds after that. The New Zealand Transport Accident Investigation Commission says the autopilot's runway alignment mode would have automatically moved the flight controls back to the neutral position after the autopilot was disengaged. To continue the correct flight path established by the autopilot, the pilot has to hold flying controls in the same position that the autopilot had maintained, it states. When the controls return to neutral, it adds the flight data recorder information shows the pilot did not hold the control input that had been applied by the autopilot, including left aileron. As a result, the 777 rolled 3.69 degrees right and started drifting right of center line. Although the wind was not strong or gusting, it was reducing in speed and backing more to the left. The pilot was unable to counter the combination of roll and change in the crosswind, says the inquiry. Disagree with that, but he could have. When it touched down just 9 seconds after the autopilot was disengaged, it veered off the runway onto a sealed shoulder, striking 6 runway edge lights before returning to center. The inquiry says the excursion was virtually certain given the combination of actions regardless of the runway condition. While the runway was wet, there was no standing water. None of the 271 passengers or 16 crew members was injured, but the 777 sustained damage to 5 of 6 right main gear tires, one of which, the rear inboard, had deflated, as well as damage to the right brake assembly and wiring harness. Yes, putting landing gear lights or gear lights through your landing gear will cause damage. That's definitely. Oh, you have video of this. Is that it? Wow. Yeah. So
just a still shot there of the video. I think.
Oh, okay. This guy just like froze. I don't get it. You know, you're 67 feet down. Why are you disconnecting the autopilot? If you're taking it that far down, let the plane land itself. It doesn't care about the wind. It doesn't care about the rain. It's just going to land. You know, as long as you're within the limits of the autopilot, it's going to track down the center line of the runway and bring you to a stop. You won't have to do a single thing besides pull the thrust reversers up, and that's it. So I don't know why they did what they did. We see this sometimes with our pilots, especially new ones. I had a pilot flying the Dream Lifter, which is that 747 that carries the 787s in the back, so it looks like a big propane tank spoon attached to the back of the plane. And that one's really affected by the wind and did sort of the same thing. You know, we talked about it, but he just didn't make the control inputs. And so off the side you go. And once you get a little momentum, the plane's going to go there. You can't just throw this thing around. It's not a Cessna. It's not a Piper. You can't just move it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I would have, well, I don't know, but I would have assumed, depending on what the conditions were, that if you were flying in those conditions, you'd probably want to click the autopilot off at, I don't know, 500 feet, something like that, so you could give yourself a chance to have a feel of what the aircraft was doing. Because once you get down to the level that he was or she was at, you've got no chance at all. The aircraft's going to do its own thing, and it's got all the inertia with it too, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, with an airplane, it can auto land. Why do this? That's the question. And it's not like I used to fly the CRJs. CRJs could do Cat 2 approaches down to 100 feet. But the airplane was not certified to auto land, so you had to kick it off late. But that was trained and trained and trained. You did that multiple times, and you flew the plane so many cycles a day that was very much second nature with that aircraft. A 777 pilot, he's maybe flying once a month, twice a month, maybe. How many low approaches is he doing in a year? 2, 3, where he's not letting it auto land? You know, I could think of a couple of times where I brought it down to maybe 200 feet and then kicked it off. But that was like very extreme, you know, like fog or smoke or something like that going on. And you know, I just wanted to keep it as stable as I could. And it was very calm. And it's like, look it off. I still had 200 feet. So that's still considerably longer than going across the threshold and kicking it off. I mean, I remember doing that in the RJ days, and the first couple times I did it in the RJ, I almost had the right to seat up for a change of seat cushion because it's an experience. You are definitely having an event when you do a click off at 80 feet. It's what we had to do. So, yeah, I don't know. This seems like a dumb move that this guy did, and he paid the price. You know, very embarrassing to drag a gear through the lights and the side of the runway.
Another insurance
do worse.
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably below the write-off level.
Just had to, whilst we're live at the moment, just had to bring the microphone down in here because we just had the Helimed fly over at 400 feet and land about less than about 1,000 yards just down the road.
Oh.
Yeah. So, that's just our local East Anglian air ambulance. Literally flew right over here. I don't know whether you heard it on the microphone earlier, but it was quite loud. But I hope everything's fine there. Right. Yeah. Let's move on to the next story. dailymail.co.uk for this. One of the world's biggest or busiest airports reveals plans for a new £7 billion mega terminal for 50 million more passengers. One of the biggest airports and busiest airports in the world is set to be transformed with a brand new terminal that will handle millions more passengers. The airport is already known for being home to the world's biggest indoor waterfalls and has been previously voted the best in the globe. Now, Changi Airport in Singapore, I bet John's been there, has unveiled plans to build Terminal 5, which is set to add an incredible 50 million more passengers to the already 90 million that pass through yearly. T5 will also be connected to the existing Terminal 2, which is home to Singapore Airlines. And when completed, the terminal will bring the airport's connectivity from 170 to 200 cities worldwide. Plans released by the airport show the impressive infrastructure plan for the terminal building, which is expected to cost £7 billion. They said we'll have huge glass roofs and walls to allow as much natural daylight as possible flood the mega terminal, creating a better transit for passengers. Just like Changi Airport's existing terminals, no expense will be spared on facilities and scenery with indoor gardens, vertical trees planned all throughout the building. Automated check-in desks, contactless touch points will be introduced, allowing for faster and more seamless experiences for departing and arriving passengers. And a dedicated transportation centre will also be constructed underneath the terminal, which will house trains, buses and taxis. Work has already started on the 2,670-acre site, and when it opens, the airport size will have almost doubled. To allow for the additional passengers, airport bosses will convert a former military runway into a third runway to be used for commercial aircraft. The terminal is expected to be fully operational by the mid-2030s, but the third runway could be open by 2027. So, come on then, John. You must have flown there before. What's Changi like?
I have never been there.
Oh, really?
Three separate times it's been on my schedule. I've been all excited about it, and 3 separate times I pulled it off. I've never been there. I wanted to go there. I've tried to get them to buy me tickets on Singapore because it's supposed to be a great service. Nope, won't do it.
So. Heck, wow. I've been there twice. Once in 2003 and once in 2004 on my way to the Grand Prix at Melbourne in Australia. I had a stop off in Singapore. I mean, this is 2003, so we're going back a bit. Even then, it was an impressive airport. So this is going to be a fantastic improvement, isn't it? Just even more. But it's a great airport. Considering the size, it's a bit like Schiphol in that. Considering the size of the airport, it's actually very easy to navigate your way through it as well. I thought, very well signposted, and great place. I loved it.
It's on one of the few airports in the world I really would like to go see, just because it's supposed to be so incredible, the terminals and stuff. I mean, anytime I can try and find an excuse to go through there, I've tried to, but just. The thing about Singapore's prices on their tickets is inhibiting my airline from buying it. But
yes,
it does look incredible. Got the pictures on the YouTube screen there for those of you watching in the world of YouTube. It does look quite impressive, I will say. But a shame, John. You'll have to keep trying, John, to try and get rostered to fly into there. See how you go.
I'm gonna have to do one of those review videos if I ever get to go through there. So,
right, moving on to the and finally story for tonight. Nev, over to you.
You couldn't make this one up. It's on Reuters.com, and it says that a family of raccoons recently broke into an Airbus, opening. Let me just read that again. Broken into an Airbus opens new tab factory in Canada, adding an unusual headache to the plane maker's more familiar troubles with parts shortages and supply chain issues. 5 of the baby mammals were found inside the plant near Montreal, which produces the A220, sources told Reuters, after their mother was spotted climbing the landing gear of a jet being produced for a European airline. A guy came face to face with a raccoon after having entered the plane, a factory worker said. A second source says the damage included urine and chewed wires, presumably not from the fella, but from the raccoons. Workers on the overstretched assembly line had to be pulled off normal jobs to undertake the time-consuming task of quarantining the first jet and inspecting for damage from the furry intruders, which are known for foraging in trash cans for food. Airbus confirmed the discovery of a family of raccoons on one plane, but declined to say whether they had further delayed production or had caused any damage. The aircraft is pursuing its assembly process, a spokesman said, adding measures had been put in place to ensure safety and quality. Whilst the incident is only a temporary headache, it comes as Airbus is scrambling to speed up production, having warned airlines that it faces another 3 years of delivery delays as it works through a backlog of supply chain problems. Recent snags including missing engines, late arrival of components and delayed interiors, Airbus has said, but rarely have its contingency plans had to deal with stray omnivores at the rural plant. We had to open everything back up to inspect, explained the second source. Airbus said that the animals had been removed to a safe location. Imagine any of that going through one of the wiring looms, or even slightly. I mean, that's just horrific, isn't it? Absolutely horrific.
One of my favourite shows during the 90s, that was, Raccoons.
Oh, God. Oh dear! But
you ever had issues like this, John, at all when you've been flying? Any rogue animals?
We've had the mice and rat issue a few times. Different airlines I've been at, and that's a headache because they have to. They usually take the airplane out away from every other airplane, and they have to go pull everything out and start inspecting wires, and that's. That's a long, long process. You take all the seats out, take the floors out, all the interior out, and you're going through wiring looms. It's just, be a week of work for 3 guys. Huge money there.
Yeah.
I think I'd write the aircraft off. Be quicker.
Well, I've seen airlines do that. On some of the old aircraft, they've just parked it. So, nope. Done with it. Take the engines off. Start taking components out and just part it out right then and there. And they're done with it. They won't fly it anymore sometimes.
Ow. Right. On to the next part of the show, Mr. Bounds. So I'm going to hand things over to you.
Yeah, well, it's my favourite part of the show, that's for sure. It's the Retro Airline Ad of the Week. This week, it's the turn of Frontier. And tell us, do you recognise the sports player? Then it's off to the airline that's all smiles, including the aircraft. Here we go.
Hey, Coach, I've got business in Denver.
All right. Fly Frontier Airlines.
Never heard of them.
Well, they're new.
Good food?
Excellent.
Leg room?
Even for me.
Non-stops?
3 a day from Hobby.
Coach, they're new. How do you know they're good?
Kenny, you're new. Are you any good?
Hey, I'm the best. So I guess the best way to Denver is Frontier Airlines.
The best way to Denver, Kenny, is lose a ball game.
It takes getting up early, ahead of the rest. It takes moving faster and being the best. To make you smile, we know we gotta be tough. When it's a matter of riding up, there's never enough. You know what it takes to go that extra mile, so we gotta be tough. To make you smile. Catch our smile,
There we go. What do you think of those, Dave?
Well, yeah, they. I mean, I'd almost forgotten about Frontier actually, but yes, very funny. And so who was the sportsman?
I don't know. That's why I asked. I thought there must be someone, one of our US listeners, who knows who that sports person was, because I think a lot of the retro airline ads from the US back in that era, kind of the late 70s, early 80s, used to feature famous sports players to try and sort of drum up more interest in the company and the airline. But John, I don't suppose you recognise?
I've recognized that face. I don't know the name though. I was trying to place it. It looked like an Oilers team, Houston Oilers, but I'm not sure. I was interested. I was like looking at it was Frontier, but the aircraft paint and all that was the PSA paint.
That PSA, the smile. I do like the PSA smiles.
Yeah, I was interested when they that time frame. That's probably early '80s when deregulation happened. So all kinds of crazy stuff there. The hair. Oof. Oof.
Oh dear! I'm gonna have to try and dig up some more BA ads, Nev. I think we played nearly all of the BA ads that I could find, but I'm going to see if I can find some more BA ads online.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some BEA ones as well. British European Airways, which obviously became part of BA later on. But yeah, there's stuff around there. I'm sure we can find some more.
Right, Nev, it's next part of the show. So would you like to introduce your favourite part of the show?
Yes, it's the military. Actually, when we first came on air, or just before we came on air, John said he didn't feel there was enough in the military. So he's actually put one of his own stories into the military output for later on. So that's impressive stuff. Anyway, here we go with the military.
Blast up bogies 135, 50, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. 108 bogies.
Well, there's definitely one person who's excited about the military segment this week. Sturman, hello to you in the chat room. Right, this one comes to us from scmp.com. And China adds refueling to pilot training in a move to boost combat readiness. As if they didn't have enough to think about pilots. But anyway, China's Air Force has introduced aerial refueling and to its pilots training program as the People's Liberation Army tries to step up combat readiness and long-range capabilities. The move was highlighted in a report by state broadcaster CCTV. It's an interesting state broadcaster's name, isn't it? CCTV. On Friday. That included footage from the PLA training video. It showed instructors from the PLA's Air Force Flight Academy piloting two J-10 fighter jets in a refueling drill supported by a U-10 or YU-20 tanker. The J-10, seen as China's answer to the American F-16, has a two-seater variant for advanced fighter and strike training, and another variant, the J-10CE, was used by Pakistan to down French-made Rafale jets in combat with India's military near the disputed Kashmir region last month. According to the CCTV report, how would you have a station called that? It's just
that is China's state broadcaster,
really?
I think. Yeah.
The Academy plans to expand the refueling training phases, it said. The goal was around combat readiness training and better prepare pilots for operational requirements and the demands of the battlefield. Xiong Zheping, a former PLA instructor, said it was a significant step for the Air Force as it tried to cultivate real combat capabilities from the earliest stage in pilot training. Previously, such training was limited to experienced operational units, Song said. Now it's moving upstream into the pilot education. And that opens a new path for building strategic air force with global reach. He said the program would help pilots develop a long-range operational mindset early in their careers. He said it will reduce the interval between graduation and combat readiness, significantly boosting the military's ability to rapidly produce a battle-ready talent pool. Aerial refueling is a critical skill for combat pilots, extending flight endurance and strike range. It's also strategically important for integrated operations since it underpins long-distance control and power projection. There are 4 steps to the refueling process: rendezvous, contact, fuel transfer, and separation. And it demands precise coordination and strict safety measures, especially when aircraft carry weapons. Now, I'm going to pop some pictures up on the screen for those of you watching in the world of YouTube. There we go. I'm going to hopefully press a button there. That'll appear on the screen of that in progress there. Look like an F-16, but no, it's not as good as an F-16. Definitely not. What do you think, John? Air-to-air refueling is something you don't have to contend with much, really, during your line of work?
No, thankfully not. Air-to-air refueling kind of is terrifying, I think, in terms of you have to put your airplane in very close proximity to another airplane and then stick something into it. And just, 2 airplanes getting it on in the air is not necessarily what I want to go for. So when I was younger and I was in Arizona, I had the opportunity to go to an F-16 simulator with some of my Civil Air Patrol cadets. And at the end, the instructor, I think, decided to terrorize me to make fun, so the cadets could have a laugh at me. He said, "Oh, you want to try air-to-air refueling?" And I said, "Sure." So he didn't just put an airplane and tell me to fly up to it. He just instantly put me into position. So all of a sudden my windscreen was full of big, huge tanker right there. And I immediately bunted down. Everybody started laughing at me because it is really close. But it's a very important. I think if Armando was here, he would be talking all about the importance of logistics and the ability to power project and move things and stuff. And one of the things I think that has always made the American military so strong was its ability to power project through air refueling. If you go back to the 90s when Saddam Hussein went into Kuwait and Desert Shield started off, the F-15s and the first fighter wing flew direct from Langley Air Force Base in Virginia all the way to Saudi Arabia with weapons loaded out, and arrived on station and started doing a fighter cap, all through the means of doing refueling the entire way across. And they did 12 air refuelings to cross all the way to Saudi Arabia. And how many air forces in the world can do that? So it's a very important skill set to have for any kind of military pilot, and allows them to transfer aircraft across their country and quickly respond to stuff. So important for them, not great for everybody else.
Grinner says in the chat room, once you've done it a few times, it gets pretty straightforward, except at night in bad weather. I bet. Yeah. Right, now, Nev, you've got the next one. This one, I've got this on my save list. I did manage to watch a trailer online a few days ago, and this looks really good. For those of you who have access to, obviously, to YouTube, this is a great little one.
Yeah, I was having a quick look at the trailer, actually, and I'm going to have a look at these videos. It's on the RAF's website, raf.mod.uk, and it's all about their new mini-series. And Beyond the Blue is a 4-part video series that shines a light on the people behind the uniform. In each episode, 2 members of the RAF swap jobs for the day, stepping into unfamiliar roles, gaining new perspectives, and opening up the realities of life in the service. The 2 episodes that have been released so far, episode 1 is an A400M pilot Calvin and parachute jump instructor Alex swap roles in episode 1 of the series. Flight simulators, VR descents, and a leap from the fan descender trainer in a day of discovery with plenty of laughs and shared respect. In episode 2, Tez, who's an RAF nurse, steps into the tower to direct aircraft as an air traffic controller, whilst Adam, an ATC instructor, suits up for a high-pressure medical challenge aboard an A400M in a test of nerves, teamwork and trust in two very different environments. Well, you can watch the episodes on the Royal Air Force's YouTube channel now, and with new stories released weekly. Episode 3 is released on Monday on the channel, whilst episode 4 will be released on the 16th of June. So definitely something to have a look at. I've not seen any of them yet at all, but just looking at the trailer, it looks quite interesting and entertaining. And I think hopefully for people that want to look at career possibilities as well. I'm hoping that's what the idea behind it is.
It's an interesting idea as well, and swapping jobs within something like that within the Royal Air Force, because there's very many different roles within the Royal Air Force, and just to swap for a day to see how the other half lives as such. I mean, I'm happy to swap, John. If do you want to swap for the day, I'll you can take my no.
Sure, go for it. You don't mind your truck being wrecked, because I don't drive on the wrong side of the road very much. So.
Oh dear!
I think your truck would be at more risk than the airplane.
Yeah, you'd be all right. You could all you got to do is run a warehouse for a day, and I'll go and sit on the Queen of the Skies. That
will go brilliantly, I'm sure. We want the what? The where? Huh?
Where? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, right, John, you've got the next one. This is a little one you dropped in here.
Yeah, it comes from the Warzone, which is a twz.com. Confirmed losses of Russian aircraft mount after Ukrainian drone assault. Some of the bombers were armed with cruise missiles when Ukraine drones rained down on them. New satellite imagery and official video have revealed more about the scale of destruction and damage inflicted on Russian airfields in Ukraine's unprecedented drone attack last weekend. Today, the Security Service of Ukraine, or SBU, which carried out the drone attacks, published previously unreleased drone footage showing the raid underway. At the same time as the SBU video was released, Ukraine also announced more details of the drone attacks, which were carried out under Operation Spiderweb. The SBU claims that its drones use artificial intelligence, at least some aspects of the operation during the operation. Modern UAV control technology was used, which combines autonomous artificial intelligence algorithms and manual operator interventions at the SBU. In particular, some UAVs, due to signal loss, switched to performing the mission using artificial intelligence along with pre-planned route. After approaching and contacting a specifically designated target, the warhead was automatically triggered. And the story got cut off again. I know I put it in here twice at least. So anyways, it did go on to talk about some more aircraft that were damaged. And this was I think a pretty significant event in the war and in warfare in general, where this set of drones was hidden inside of the containers, put on lorries, and somehow snuck into Russia and not detected. And I know they had used, I read somewhere else where they had used the aircraft in museums to help train the AI to recognize the aircraft they wanted it to attack and to where to attack it, which is fascinating. And then they were also somehow using Twitter or X or Telegram to live stream from the drones to get the video back to Ukraine so they could control it. There was some else aspect of that where I'd read that aspect. I was like, that is next level smart person stuff used for warfare, which tends to bring that out. But this had apparently, if the numbers are right, if it checks out what the initial reports were, this is possibly up to 30% of the strategic forces. And then there also was reports of attacks on naval facilities as well. So this could have a very critical impact upon their ability to launch missiles into Ukraine, plus their nuclear deterrence missions that those aircraft would have flown.
A very audacious thing, but the planning and the skill to do all of that is incredible, just to think about it. And of course, so many people say that, Ukraine can't win any of this because of the sheer size of the Russian military versus their own. But honestly, they've had some incredible, I'll call them wins, but you know what I mean, in very difficult situations. So that they've certainly got a lot of talented people there with the help of their allies that can pull this stuff off.
I think every military in the world should be having heart palpitations right now that anybody else could repeat this. And because these are just commercial drones that have been upgraded to carry a warhead and given this ability to fly these attack profiles and the ability to strike anywhere potentially is going to be pretty hard, challenge for some people to meet. And I think that hopefully the U.S. and all the other countries are prepared for this, because this will certainly be attempted to be repeated by the Russians to come back upon the Ukrainians and anybody else. Definitely just shows that the Ukrainians have some skills when it comes to this kind of technology and thinking outside the box and putting things together. I think their only kind of limit has been resources, and they're still pulling stuff like this off, which is pretty impressive.
Well, President Putin said today, isn't he, that he feels that they will have to respond, is what he actually said, I think. But yeah, it's... but no, an incredible piece of work, intelligence and engineering, and the logistics and everything that went into this. Absolutely amazing.
It's definitely challenging for the Russians too, because none of these aircraft are in production. So anything they're going to try and repair, the parts are going to have to come off on all their old aircraft, which I'm sure they're tearing through their supplies. So they're going to have dwindling numbers as things go along until they start figure a way to replace them with something new.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I just hope it comes to an end soon, this whole thing. Don't think it ever will, but we can keep our fingers crossed. Right, Nev, air shows for 2025. Now, John, fingers crossed you can try and hopefully make it to one of our meetups this year. It'd be great to have you join us. But, Nev, where are we heading off to very soon, actually, within the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, this month, actually, Saturday, 21st of June, we're over at the Imperial War Museum at Duxford for the Duxford Summer Air Show. That's actually a 2-day show, if I remember correctly. We're just going to be there on the Saturday. And that is £54.50 if you include the £5 parking ticket as well. Children go free if you're under 15, but they must be accompanied by an adult. But you must book a parking permit for your visit, otherwise you won't be able to park on site. Just go to the IWM Duxford website for more details about that, and say Carlos and I, hopefully Matt and others, will be there as well on Saturday, June the 21st. Shuttleworth Summer Air Show is on Saturday, July the 26th. Gates open there at 9 o'clock, and then the flying starts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That goes all the way through to 9 o'clock in the evening. There's 2 flying sessions, one at 2 o'clock and one at 7:30. It's £42 for an adult, £36 if you're a member at Shuttleworth as well, and children go free. We are just getting some more details now of the Bray Air Display for Saturday the 2nd of August. That's in Bray in the Republic of Ireland, just south of Dublin. It's the biggest free event in Ireland, and you can actually go onto their website now, brayair.display.com. Car parking there is €12, and you must have a car parking permit in order to park your vehicle there. We're just waiting waiting for some more details from Alan and co, and hopefully we'll be able to get some interviews with some of the crews and the organisers as well, which will be absolutely fantastic. And then finally, Saturday the 30th of August will be at Beccles for the PTUK summer meetup. Lots of GA action there and some lunch as well. So we'll have some more details about that in the coming weeks. But see if you can join us there on Saturday, the 30th of August.
So, John, any chance of encouraging you to join us this year? If you can get time off work, that is.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm looking at trying to figure out where Beccles is. Maybe that will be the one.
It's actually very close to where you are at the moment, John, really. Just a short hop across the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they have customs there?
No, you can fly in there. I think anything up to they've had some. I've never had a King in there, King Air in there. PA-28's been in there, okay. Yeah.
I'll see if maybe I can talk a friend of mine into helping me out. Maybe he'll be interested in hopping over for the day to come see something. So
that'd be great if you could, John. That really would be.
Yeah, I think the hard part to that, the one I wanted to go to was Duxford, but I think that's just the right before they start the summit here for NATO, and they are shutting down most of the Netherlands. It seems like for that. Huge, like motorways, almost every airfield in the western side of the country is shut down. Same for Belgium and stuff. A bunch of airfields in Belgium shut down. It's a mess. I don't think I'm getting across for that one, but up over there. Okay.
Yeah, Jason Trussell in the chat room is just making a point. It's a very true, very correct point, actually. Modern day air shows are just too expensive for a whole family. To watch the Vulcan at Southend last month was 50 quid. All good fun, but so expensive for 4 people. That is very expensive, and it's a shame that, I understand the reasons why the air shows do becoming quite expensive. But React this year, I think Nev was 75 quid for a 1-day pass for an adult.
Gosh, that's a lot.
£75 per adult. So if you factor that in with a couple of tickets for children, if you've got older children, it does make for quite an expensive day out. It's a shame, but it is unfortunately the way things are with air shows. We've got a good one coming up soon this year at Old Buckingham here in the UK, which is a big air show here. Again, it's I think it's less than 50 quid, but it's quite a busy day, 2-day kind of thing. But it'd be nice to have you over, John, if you could make it on the 30th of August. If you can try and get over somehow, we can.
Yeah, I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah,
maybe I can fly across to Norwich and then get a ride down there with you also.
I can always pick you up. That's not an issue. Not an issue at all. Right, Nev, where can our lovely listeners find out more about us as a show?
Yes, so just have a look at the socials, the Facebook, X or Instagram for Plane Talking UK. You can email the show at podcast@planetalkinguk.com, and our website is www.planetalkinguk.com. We've got a WhatsApp number, which a lot of people have been using. It's +44 7446 975 214. That's +44 7446 975 214, and you can send us messages, pictures, videos, whatever you like. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel too. You'll get notifications when we go live, and you can help shape the conversation of the show by joining us in the chat room, as many people have done tonight. So just go to youtube.com and search for Plane Talking UK. I mentioned earlier on about Patreon and PayPal, the details of which are on our website on the front page. Just go to there, and if you would like to assist us by donating at all, then we'd be very grateful for anything that you can possibly spare. Just go to planetalkinguk.com and all the details are there.
Yes, thank you very much indeed. And as I said, you might have heard us talk about it previous shows, but hopefully we're going to arrange a date for later on this year when Nev's going to be coming down this neck of the woods, and we're going to do a day of some filming around some of the great museums we have in the local area here, one of which is Thorpe Abbott's, where they filmed a bit of Masters of the Air in that film there. So we're going to have a little sort of visit, aren't we, Nev? Do some interesting museum visits as well.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Looking forward to that. Right, that is where we're going to start to wrap up episode 554 of the show. Big thanks to everyone who's joined us in the live YouTube chat room this evening. Thank you very much to everyone. Also going to say hello to John Main. He's just dropped in there in the chat room. Hello to you, John. Good to see you in the chat room. Also going to say a big thank you to our special guest this evening, being a legend as always, John Jester. Thank you for taking time out of your Wednesday night and joining me and Nev tonight.
No problem. I always enjoy doing it when I can, so it's fun to be here and always do it live.
Excellent. We'll have you on again soon, John. So don't disappear. Don't be too busy. And make sure you put that date in the diary as well, John, for our meet up on the 30th of August. That'd be great to have you join us down there. Yeah. Right. That is it for the show. Don't forget to tune in next week. We'll be live. Well, I won't be here. I shall be on holiday next week, so I won't be here next Wednesday. I shall be back in my second home, I like to call Malta, enjoying myself very much indeed. Taking me out there on Saturday on a A321 with Nev's favourite airline, so looking forward to that on the British Airways A321, and flying out of Gatwick, Nev, so that'll be a interesting thing.
Yeah, I mean, they do quite a good job down there for just a single runway operation. And yeah, you'll have a great time. I'm sure the weather will be very nice in Malta as well, because it always is, isn't it?
So that's it for the show. Thanks again to everyone for joining us tonight. Thanks to everyone who downloads the show as well, not forgetting you. And Nev, would you like to say the last few words, and I shall take us out?
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Thanks to John as well for joining us. We really appreciate your time at relatively short notice as well. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll be back on Wednesday at 7 o'clock UK time next week. In the meantime, bye for now.
There we go. That's another show in the can, as they say.
It's episode 555 next week, and this week it's Airline Pilot Guys 666.
Oh,
show. So that's funny, isn't it? So yeah, there we go.
Brilliant.
Sturman
in the chat room. Sorry, John. I was just going to say, Sturman in the chat room said, nice to see you on the podcast, John.
Glad to be here.
Carry on, John. You were going to say.
Oh, I would say Triple Nickel. It's a good squadron down in South Carolina. I helped move them one time someplace. They're the SAM tax squadrons. I can't recall them. Wild Weasel Squadron. They're the ones that go up and get shot at intentionally by the SAM so they can go kill them. So they're They're especially crazy bunch. But they're a pretty long story to squad, if I remember correctly. To go back to World War II.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm being
I just
clean.
looked at the instructions to get rid of Beckles. I can do it in 6 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh.
Only like 2.5 hours of driving with a 4-hour nap in the middle on a boat. So, hey, terrorizing myself driving on the wrong side of the road.
You'd much rather go and just grab yourself a 172 and jump over.
Yeah, that would definitely be much more fun. Or I do it the cheap way and buy a ticket on KLM, probably.
Yeah, you could always fly into London Norwich Airport with KLM.
Yeah, London Norwich.
Oh, thank you, John, for your kind comment.
Yeah.
Another great show, John says. Thank you, John Falk. Yeah, I think it makes up most of the traffic out of Norwich. Is the rig, helicopters, and KLM. Obviously, we've got Ryanair frequenting Norwich now as well.
It's probably all the oil workers coming across from Shell to go out on the rigs. So,
yeah, I guess they're flying out to Aberdeen as well, aren't they? They do a service to Aberdeen. I can't remember from Norwich, but yeah, they used to for the same reason. So, yeah.
Yeah. The air ambulance only took off again about 7 or 8 minutes ago.
It wasn't for you then, was it?
No, it's down for quite a while though.
I hope everybody's okay.
Yes. Yeah, we've got quite a large field, literally just down the bottom of the hill here. You might have seen it, Nev, when you've been here before, and it went down. It set down in there. So, yeah.
And is that one based at Norwich Airport, is it?
This one it flits between the two, so it goes between Norwich Hospital at Norwich and the airport, but it's based at Norwich Airport, but it flits between Norwich Hospital and the hospital at Gemma Works in at Great Yarmouth on the coast. So it sort of works between the two, and then lives at Norwich Airport, where they're based there with the East Anglia Air Ambulance. What's your? Have you got a local one to you, Nev? Where you live, Air Ambulance?
We've got the Thames Valley Air Ambulance, and I can't remember where they're based. It wouldn't surprise me if they were based at Kidlington, Oxford Airport, and that would serve places like the John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford, Stoke Mandeville Hospital just down the road from me. Not sure they can land at Wickham General Hospital, but yeah, so the Thames Valley Air Ambulance it covers Buckinghamshire and Berkshire mainly, but it's a pretty big area actually as well. I think they've got more than one too, from memory. So yeah,
I don't know why the text thing is now working, Nev, on the feed. Can you see on YouTube?
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yes. That's just suddenly sprung
That's
into
weird because I'm not controlling that.
How odd.
That is very strange.
Yes.
How is that
messing with you?
How has that happened? That's really bizarre. Cause
is Matt on his phone, like just messing with you, or?
Could be.
I don't know.
Yes. Could be some remote stuff going on, unless APG have hacked into it. I think Matt's got something to do with this. You know,
that's completely random because you normally control that, Nev, via the web browser.
Yeah, well, I can't at the moment.
No, not can I. I've
got no connection to it at all.
How bizarre! No, I have absolutely no idea how that.
Well,
no, I can't even log in to the to that.
And can you remove that at all?
I can't.
Oh, goodness me.
Right, on that note then, we're going to head off, I think, being as I can't get rid of that for some reason. How bizarre.
Yeah, that's odd, isn't it? Yeah.
No, I cannot get rid of that at all. It's there, look, on the main screen. No idea why that's there.
Well, thank goodness it doesn't say anything too,
no. Well, apparently Jen Niffer said that probably about 100 episodes ago I don't know. Right. Time to say goodbye to everyone in the YouTube world. Thanks again for joining in this evening, everyone. Thanks for appearing in a chat room as you do every week. Thank you very much. Nev, would you like to say the last words and say goodbye to everyone? And also thanks again to John Jester as well for joining us tonight.
Yeah, brilliant, John. Thanks ever so much. Hope you have a nice holiday next week, Carlos. And
Thank you.
Hopefully Matt will be back pressing the buttons along with me. So in the meantime, hope you have a great rest of the week and the weekend. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now.